It makes no sense, it is an illusion that we are made by God, not fusion of the matter that was already there. It's a reason into the sky we stare. I find it funny how you think you came to be. Couldn't be more blind, wonder why you can't see. The fact that this is unlikely is the second coming. That we were not, that we just started humming. Borderline criminal, but really just dumb. Funny how they got you all under the thumb, believing anything that is gospel truth, but the most elaborate precision spoof. A disguised abuse of the poorer man, to make him pray, do anything he can, so he does not fall to the fires of hell, like a scared little cat in a tiny cell.
Do I have to remind you that God is your invisible friend? Do I have to remind you that God is your invisible friend? Do I have to remind you that He is your invisible friend? Invisible friend, invisible, invisible, visible friend.
It doesn't seem to really matter what you see. You just believe that things just came to be. Even when the evidence is filed against you, you brush it off and make arguments new that can be intelligently deconstructed, but you can't see the evidence you fed, corrupted by the lies of your priest, but you don't see it in the least. Are you really that ignorant and cold that you would rather the truth be sold in a book than be found out by a race? The beauty of discovery you can't face seems a shame that you are missing out on so much of what life is about. I love thy neighbor for him and for me, not so I don't burn in hell, you see.
Do I have to remind you that God is your invisible friend? Do I have to remind you that God is your invisible friend? Do I have to remind you that He is your invisible friend? Invisible friend, invisible, invisible, visible friend.
I know you believe that God is there and you think people actually care about others for the sake of being good, but it's only to spare their own blood. Selfishness in its purest form, composing the most vicious storm of self-obsession and hypocrisy, where you're all just looking out for the key to what life is all about. We ask questions that challenge every task that was set by God in the holy book, trying to understand every innocent life He took. Like the story of Noah and God's genocide, for the evil inside you try to hide and cover all the abuse in the weak, trying to silence us before we even speak.
Do I have to remind you that God is your invisible friend? Do I have to remind you that God is your invisible friend? Do I have to remind you that He is your invisible friend? Invisible friend, visible, invisible, visible friend.